Welcome back, Strategic Angling fans. My name is Brady Hanna. This is Strategic Angling presented by K&K True Value in Bettendorf, Iowa. And I'm here all by my lonesome to hopefully share some exciting news to you about a new bait today. So unlike other videos where we focused on techniques or rods or time of year, this or that, this is just purely going to be focused on one brand new, very exciting bait that I have been clamoring to get since I saw it in action, earlier this year. I think it was Eufaula. I'm going to keep hinting at it, and hopefully you can guess it by the time I say it, but a gentleman named Bryan Thrift is quite fond of these baits, I will say. Brett Height is quite fond of another kind of these baits, the jackhammer, but we're here talking about a brand new bladed jig chatterbait to the market. So Z-Man, I believe this year, or very late last year, introduced the Cross Eyes, which was like a chatterbait, a little bit more premium offering with weed guards in it, and we did a whole chatterbait episode earlier this year. We all know chatterbaits are great and they catch fish, but what we don't know and we've never seen is what's in this bag. And as far as I know, I don't think anyone else locally has them. If they do, great. If they don't, I know K&K has them. I may have bought a good amount of their supply, but they at one point had them. So we are here today talking about the highly anticipated Big Blade Chatterbait. So this is a Bryan Thrift special. He's been talking about this big blade all year. He's been catching fish on it all year. He has completely caught me. I have bought into the hype. I made a small investment in the Big Blade Chatterbait. So, what is a Big Blade Chatterbait? Well, as the name states, it's got a really big blade on it. I'll post some picture over while I'm talking about this, but if we take one of these big blades out of the package, the blade is not just a little bit bigger. It is a lot bigger on this Big Blade Chatterbait, and it seems like Bryan Thrift and Z-Man have kind of tried to do a more premium chatterbait option here. Matt K&K is selling these for 12 bucks a piece, so I'm guessing retail is, I don't know, 13, 14-ish for these, but they seem to have a fuller skirt, and it's actually wire tied versus the other Z-Man products. I don't know if they're doing wire tied skirts. I know on the cheaper models they're definitely not. It seems like it's got a more stout, it's definitely got a more stout hook to it. You guys are seeing my initial reaction. I hadn't opened one of these yet. I am very excited about this bait. I have to keep my eye on supply for some time. So in my hand here I've got the 5/8 size. That's all K&K had mainly, and then I also got it in the green pumpkin candy color. I think this Big Blade Chatterbait is going to be the deal this fall. It's going to be a deal. Those river fish are going to get hungry and they're going to eat. But I'm a huge fan of trying something and throwing stuff that these pressured fish in some of these more community areas haven't seen a lot of, and they certainly have not seen anything with a blade that big. If I take out a jackhammer, for example, and I just overlay the blade, and I will get you a better picture of this. This is the size difference between these two blades. It is easily 2x. I would call it maybe 2.5 times the size of a standard blade. So what is this going to do? Well, obviously it's going to create quite a bit more disturbance in the water. It's obviously going to present a much larger bait fish option for these fish. That seems like the main what's it going to do. I haven't fished one of these. I have no idea how it's going to fish. I have no idea if you can use the same kind of trailers as you could before. I'm guessing with this big, huge disturbance, you want to again use a bulky trailer that's not gonna disturb the wake of this blade. So like a Zako or a Swim On from Big Bite, those are my two chatterbait favorites. But as these river fish, start to get hungrier, they start to get shallow, the shad move shallow, and the shad get bigger. I'm hoping, in my head, I've cooked up the idea that this Big Blade Chatterbait is gonna be the deal to give these fish a bigger look and potentially target a bigger bass in general. You see people throwing huge bladed spinner baits, and I'm guessing that's what got the wheels turning in Bryan Thrift's head. but we now have, you know, a chatterbait that can also do similar things. You know, I don't know if there's any science-wise different click to this. Again, it's brand new. Retailers are just now getting them. You know, all of these different chatterbaits have their own unique clicking sound and vibration than the next. You know, I'm very excited to get this thing on the water, start testing with it. I am probably going to throw the Big Blade Chatterbait on the 736 class. I also sometimes will throw, if it's real grassy and I need to rip it out of grass, I sometimes will throw like a 734 from Dobyns, a non-glass version. But I think with this bigger profile, the bigger weight, that I'm going to need a little bit more rod, and the Dobyns 736 glass Champion seemingly should be a perfect option for this new Big Blade Chatterbait. You know, there's not a whole lot more to say. I would really recommend giving these a try this fall, especially on Lost Grove too. These are going to be just awesome to imitate something slightly different than everybody else is throwing. You know, everybody's out there throwing chatterbaits, but not everybody's out there throwing a brand new Big Blade that a fish has never seen before. You know, maybe you're making these already on your own. You know, they definitely have sold bigger blades in the past for your home lure makers, but you know, no company has come out like Z-Man just did with the Big Blade Chatterbait. So I'm rambling. I highly recommend you give this a try. I'm going to give it a try, and maybe next week I'll report back. I've got one last tournament on Saturday. I can't imagine I fish on Sunday. The Harvester Shootout Saturday and Sunday. If you're in the area, you got to qualify for that. But I'm fishing Saturday. I'm planning to throw this Big Blade Chatterbait around a little bit. I know that's probably not conventional to tell people what you're going to do, but I really don't care. So I am probably going to have this in my hand. I will report back next week my thoughts on this thing, but I am so excited. The skirt's huge, the hook is huge, the blade is huge. This should target bigger fish, and we'll see if it lives up to the hype. Bryan Thrift has been, you know, selling all season. So if you guys do go out and try one the next week, would love to hear from you. Shoot me a message, send something to us on Strategic Angling Facebook, send me a personal message. Matt at K&K has a limited supply of these. These are a very hot bait on the market, and it's awesome. A local retailer has got their hands on them. Go out, try them. Let me know what you guys think. I can't wait. I'll do the same. And we'll see you guys next week on another episode of Strategic Angling presented by K&K True Value in Bettendorf, Iowa.